Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for Access City Council. I'm your host, David Riggleman, Communications Director for the City of Las Vegas. Coming up on this show, a new family entertainment center opens in the Meadows Mall, offering bowling, karaoke, and much more. And the city has big plans to improve the area around Charleston and Rancho. Of course, the councilman who represents Ward 1 is Brian Knudsen. He joins us now. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you very much, David.
How
Appreciate
are you?
it. Very well, thank you.
It's good to see you. You know Ward 1 very well. You've lived there many a year. You also represent the area. But if you're not exactly sure where Ward 1 is, have no fear. We're going to show you on the map. It's right really in the center of the city of Las Vegas. It's actually where our city started. It's because it's where the springs were that brought people here in the first place. But if you live in that area or work in the area on the screen, it's basically just west of our downtown and kind of running along the south side of US 95, and then it kind of curves up into the northwest there a little bit. But again, if you live in that area or work in that area, you are in the city limits of the city of Las Vegas. Of course, if you're a resident there, you are represented by Brian Knudsen, who was sworn into office just this past July. You seem like you've been around forever now.
It's old hand now. I'm very used to the city. Everything's going well.
You had a good advantage. We talked about the fact that you had been a staffer here at the city, so you knew a lot of the inside of how things work here, who does what. That was a huge advantage, I think, coming in, just knowing the lay of the land. So
yeah, and it's been a great homecoming. The staff have been wonderful at the City of Las Vegas, from the communications department to the public
you're
works
one of us.
department.
It's like, yeah, one of our own.
So it's fun in this position to think out loud and talk about the future of Ward 1, and then have people who can tell you what they think. And I appreciate that more than anything. So it's great to come back home.
You do. You always have. So a lot going on in Ward 1. This is really cool. Round 1 had a grand opening. Now, if you don't know what Round 1 is, this is a new entertainment center that has come to the Meadows Mall. It's interesting. Malls are kind of repurposing themselves as people tend to shop more online. Well, this is what's becoming very popular at malls these days, and Round 1 stepped into the Meadows Mall. This is what, a bowling alley, karaoke, video games, you name it. Plus, you can get stuff to eat and drink and everything there, right?
Yeah, and I think this is a sign of the times for Ward 1. And so one of the things that I think about is coming into this ward. When we moved into the McNeil Estates neighborhood, we were the youngest by about 40 years in the neighborhood. We've been there for a little over 10 years now, and the demographics are shifting pretty quickly. It's much more family focused. We have 2 young children, and in our neighborhood, 10 years ago there was almost no children. Now there's children running down the streets, riding their bikes up and down the streets. So Round 1 is perfect placement, especially as the demographics of our Ward 1 shift from an older generation to a more family-focused generation.
Yeah, I can't miss Round 1. It is right there on Valley View. It faces Valley View from the Meadows Mall, kind of where Sears is located. And you can see they've got a little bit of everything in there, so it looks like a lot of fun.
You mentioned the Springs. The Springs Preserve is right across the street.
True, exactly.
So however you want to entertain yourself and your family and your children, there's going to be options for you.
That's awesome. Well, good luck to them, and welcome to Ward 1. And then, Councilman, what I've always loved about Ward 1 is how people get together, roll up their sleeves. You got a lot of volunteer efforts. This has been going on in Ward 1 for many a year. You had another big event, took place on November 9th. This was a cleanup over near Clark High, right?
Correct.
In and around the area. Tell me the area you guys were going to clean up again.
So I refer to it as Enchanted Village. Yeah. I think that's what it was when it was developed, probably 40, 50 years ago. Many of the streets are named after Disney characters like Cinderella and Rumpelstiltskin. And I have to give a huge shout out to Kimberly Reed in my office, who really organized a group of LDS or Latter-day Saint youth volunteers. We had about 150 youth there.
That's an army,
Some very caring adults who helped organize within the LDS church right there on Desert Inn. And we did some videos with them, and then they went out in teams of 5 or 6 youth and went out and painted hydrants, and they painted the curbs. That's the first step, and I want the neighbors of Enchanted Village neighborhood to know that that's where I'm going to really start focusing a lot of my energy, because that neighborhood has a lot of potential, and it just needs a little bit of TLC. So I was grateful for the youth who chose to spend their Saturday out there making that neighborhood a little bit better.
Well, those are impressive numbers, 150 out there doing things like this. And it's so helpful. The city has crews that do this kind of work, but we only have so many people to do it. And so when you get a bunch of volunteers like this who come and provide that elbow grease, it just speeds up the process of getting things done within the city.
That's right. And you can't underestimate the investment of time and energy that volunteers put in, because because that area has had some crime issues, especially next to Clark High School, by the youth participating and youth investing their time and energy, I think it makes a strong signal to people who would commit crimes in that area that this is an area that we don't want to mess with anymore. We want to invest some time and energy, and volunteers are the best way to do that.
Yeah, and we're all banding together to do that. Yeah, that's good stuff. Of course, Thanksgiving is coming up here right around the corner, and I want to tell everybody out there we have a fall camp that's going to take place the days before Thanksgiving. If you've got kids out of school, or you've got family here in town, or whatever it might be, this is great. This is Camp Thankful. That's a fall break camp. It's going to be Monday through Wednesday, November 25th through 27th, from 7 to 6 out at Mirabelli, which is one of the shining stars in your ward, Mirabelli Community Center.
I have been there many, many times, but I have not yet brought my children there. I think this is an amazing opportunity for those parents in Ward 1 who need something to do with their kids. During the fall break, it's a great opportunity to get your kids engaged in something different than school, and the staff at Mirabelli are amazing. It's a great center to bring your kids and drop them off and spend some time with the family.
My son loved going to Mirabelli. He's in college now, so you know your kids are much younger, but it's still a great place to go, and a lot of good memories there. So take advantage. It goes fast, Councilman. So, and then we want to tell everybody else. This is also very important. You have a meeting coming up about the census on December 5th, and we want to make sure people are very well aware of this. Thursday, December 5th, from 5:30 to 7 here at City Hall. This is really important. The census really dictates so much, not only the amount of representatives we're going to have in Congress, but our federal funding is all based on population, and so it's important that we have a good count. Back in 1990, we did not have such a great count here in Nevada, and kind of hurt us. Since then, we've really worked very hard. 2000, 2010, now we've got to do this again in 2020 to make sure that we get everybody here counted.
That's right, and I've talked a lot about this on the campaign trail. I talk about it almost every day, is that our population in Southern Nevada is going to grow by another 500,000 people in the next decade. We've got to count every single person to make sure that our fair share of tax dollars are coming back and being reinvested back into Nevada.
Exactly.
So this is really important for every single person in our community to understand how important and critical that census count is.
Yeah, and I know there's some concern about, well, if I'm here on a visa, or if I'm here maybe illegally, should I be counted? The answer is yes. Everyone needs to be counted. The idea is to figure out who lives in Southern Nevada, not for any kind of law enforcement purpose, but basically just so that resources can be allocated. That's the main thing.
It's our roads, it's our public infrastructure, sidewalks, it's our public safety when you call 911 to have a funding for police officers and fire trucks and all those things that come from the federal government. Everybody has to be counted.
Yeah, it's so important. So that's coming up December 5th here at City Hall. And this is great too. Charlie Brown Christmas, Rainbow Company's putting this on. If you've never seen any of the Rainbow Company productions, they are just outstanding. So this is a Charlie Brown Christmas presented by the Rainbow Company Youth Theater. This is going to begin December 6th. Tickets are only $5.50. That is a great deal. And again, this will be taking place at the Charleston Heights Arts Center, also one of the jewels of Ward 1.
That's correct. And I hate to make it all about me, but I'm going to bring my 4-year-old because my 4-year-old absolutely loves sitting down and watching these performances. And they do such a great job at Charleston Heights and with the Rainbow Youth Company, award-winning. It's a jewel of Ward 1. It's a jewel of the entire valley. And so if you have young children, or even if you don't, it's a great time to go out and watch some performances.
The productions are outstanding. You think, well, it's just going to be a bunch of kids, but they are really well done. Really, really well done.
They're very talented.
Yeah. And who knows, you may be seeing the next star of the future there too. So, well, Councilman, we need to take a short break, but when we come back, we show you what the city has planned to beautify the area around Charleston and Rancho. That's next, so please stay with us.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
Welcome back, everyone. Beautiful new trees and wider walking spaces are just a few of the improvements coming to the Charleston and Rancho area. With us today is Mike Jansen, our Public Works Director here at the City of Las Vegas, to talk about these improvements. And Mike, I know this is something near and dear to the councilman because that's right in the heart of the medical district, right?
That's right. And we talked in our last show about the School of Medicine coming in and the increase in traffic in that area. And so it's timely that the city's investing in Rancho and the Charleston corridor. And Mike's the perfect guy to talk about what's going to happen. And over the next 18 or so months, we're going to try to solicit as much feedback from the neighbors about what they want that area to look like and incorporate as much as we can into making the area walkable, drivable, and overall appealing for people to move in.
It's exciting. It's exciting. So, Mike, give us a sneak peek. What's maybe in store for us? What are we looking to do?
Well, David, first off, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys today. It's exciting time for infrastructure because beyond the regular infrastructure, when we talk about regular infrastructure, we talk about improving the pavement, doing improvements to the storm drain and all the various utilities. But in the medical district, we're also going to do something that's really special, that's going to tie the whole campus of the medical district together with a uniform streetscape, with a uniform lighting plan, so that, number one, the pedestrians are going to really feel so much more comfortable walking through that area. The infrastructure in the medical district, it's 1960s, 1970s vintage, back in a time when the focus on pedestrians wasn't as much as we're focused on now. So we're going to have an opportunity to bring that up to our current standards, which is much wider sidewalks, really nice shade trees, the old overhead power lines, things that are not the nicest things to look at. Those are going to be placed underground. And so all in all, it's just going to be a great upgrade for the entire medical district area.
Now, Councilman mentioned that you're looking to get feedback from the public, right, on how this is all going to come together. Tell us about that, Mike.
Yeah, anytime we do a project, the best part of the project is having that opportunity to meet with the area residents who know those streets better than all of us. They know the things that are needed most. Things like, what should the landscaping look like? What type of shade tree should we incorporate? Things like, where do we have spots where the lighting maybe isn't as nice as it should be? Pedestrian crossings, new locations. I'll give you an example, one that came out from a prior neighborhood meeting. Lots of folks from the medical district like to go into the Smith Plaza, and lots of crossings by the Starbucks there. Well, in our Rancho project, we're going to incorporate a pedestrian upgrade to address that need. So it's really getting that information to the public and letting them tell us what they think and how can we make the project as good as can be.
Councilman Mike, what's the time frame? What are we looking at as far as having all this, the meetings maybe, and then also when we'll actually start seeing some work?
Yeah, so right after the holidays, I think we're anticipating having a rollout of multiple meetings with the community. There's 4 main projects that we're working on right now. One is along Shadow Lane from Charleston to Alta. The second one is along Pinto from Rancho to MLK. The third one is Charleston from MLK to Rancho. And then the last one, the newest project that we started to design more recently, is Rancho. And that's going to go all the way from just past the 95 all the way down to Sahara. So it's a 2-mile long project. But all of that outreach with the community is going to start happening right after the holidays. From a construction standpoint, where we'd like to be with Shadow Lane, the interior streets of the medical district, Shadow Lane and Pinto, we'd like to try to get those projects out towards the construction phase towards fourth quarter of next year, with the exterior streets along Charleston and Rancho coming about 6 to 7 months later.
Wow, wow. You know, Councilman, it's one of those things, people love when the projects are done, but as the projects are rolling out, it's a little bit of pain, pardon our dust. And I know that's always one of the things that we try to balance here at the city. We want to see those improvements, but we know it's going to be a bit of an inconvenience, at least through part of the construction, right?
That's right. And a lot of those neighborhoods, Mike mentioned, it's a vintage area. This is vintage Las Vegas. Some of the first developments in Vegas happened in this area. The residents are going to be thinking about how do they protect and preserve their investment, their home values. And I want to make sure that they know that you don't want vintage sewer pipes. You want to make sure those are upgraded. Right. The streets and sidewalks, you don't want those to be vintage. You want to make sure those are upgraded. So I see this as a significant investment on behalf of the city to make sure that the neighborhoods, the historic neighborhoods in our valley, are protected and preserved by making the necessary adjustments along the Rancho and Charleston corridors and the entire medical district. With the growing population, we need to make sure that we can meet the demands from a healthcare perspective, and the traffic and the walkability of the area is super important to people who live in the area and work in the area. So we have a great team here at the city, and I'm grateful that Mike is leading the charge. In the next year or so is my job, as I see it, is to reach out and collect as much information and spread as much knowledge as I can about why the infrastructure improvements are needed. And hopefully make some improvements along the way that people will be happy with and are willing to look past the orange cones for a period of time to when it's done.
You know, you bring up a really good point. I think people know that the medical school, the new building is coming, and those other facilities. But your point is well taken. That's going to draw a lot more people into the area than we have currently, and that's what Mike's trying to stay ahead of.
Yeah, it's already one of the highest pedestrian areas in the city. Throughout the day, there's lots of activity out there, and that's only going to grow as the medical school comes online with the next facilities that are being built. And so we really just want to be there as supportive to those uses. But a lot of the projects we do, the greatest compliment that we can get is when a property owner says, Mike, we're investing in our building because of your infrastructure. And we're hopeful that this is going to be another one of those types of projects where all the property owners in the medical district are going to see the value that we're doing and continue to do the same.
It's an interesting point you bring up, Mike. It's that kind of chicken and egg, who's going to go first. But once it begins, then the investment tends to be a domino effect. It tends to just go from there. Exactly right. So,
and I'm in a fortunate position just because the word has gotten out about some of the improvements that Mike and his team are going to be making, and all of a sudden my calendar starts booking up with businesses who want to come in.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
It's a great thing for the city of Las Vegas, and the fact that our public works department had the foresight to invest in that area. We all should be grateful for.
Sounds good. Well, gentlemen, we're about out of time. Mike, I'll give you the last word. Anything you want to add before we have to say goodbye? I'll tell
you the numbers are what's impressive, David. We're looking at over the next 3 years approximately $60 to $80 million investing in infrastructure throughout the medical district core area, and that's exciting.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff that you can do.
Yes,
exactly. And these guys love building stuff, so it's good stuff. Mike, great to have you on the program. Thank you so much. I know we'll have you back in the future with updates on all this. And in the meantime, Councilman, we need to take another quick break. But when we come back, we sit down with State Senator Chris Brooks. He's on the show next, right after this.
Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant. Behold the angry giant! Behold the angry giant! It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Welcome back, everyone. State Senator Chris Brooks lives within the boundaries of Ward 1, and he's with us today to talk about your common constituents with Councilman Knudsen. Councilman Knudsen has really worked hard since being elected to build bridges with all the elected officials, especially who share the areas of Ward 1. And I know that's important to you. There's the spirit of everyone working together regardless of what level of government they're in, right?
That's right. And that's what I spend the most of my time talking to residents about is how integral and integrated the city, the county, and the state are, and the federal government, if we talk about the census. It's all connected, and not everybody needs to know what their city does or what their county does. What they need to know is how can they improve their quality of life? How can they make it great for their kids and themselves and have a good, decent job and take care of their home? And so what I find my job is to make sure that if they have an issue that's at the state level or the county level, I can address those issues because I know enough about the county and the state. Making sure the strong connections are there between the elected officials at the city, county, and state are very important to me. So I'm grateful to have State Senator Chris Brooks on. He lives in my neighborhood. He understands the issues of the ward, and he understands more than I do because he also represents a larger area. And so it's one of the most important things to me is making it seamless for the residents of Ward 1.
Yeah, that's great, Senator, that you guys have that spirit of cooperation, because I think people sometimes feel like, oh, you know, I don't know who to talk to, and I know that this is the wrong person, and they sometimes get frustrated, but everybody's working together kind of in a spirit of, you know what, we're going to take care of whatever your needs are. That's always such a great thing, especially for the constituents, right?
Well, I appreciate it because, like Councilman Knudsen said, when we go to the door, and I have 150,000 people I represent in the state of Nevada, and about half of them are in Ward 1. When we go to the door, sometimes it's, you know, I have a pothole issue, or or I'm not getting my Medicare. Well, a lot of times it's a federal issue, and so I work with in District 1 with Congresswoman Dina Titus's staff, or it's a municipal issue. So I can go to Brian, I can go to Commissioner Segerblum, and we all live there and we all talk to each other, and so it's incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
And so they can refer folks to me if it's a state issue, and I can refer them to their city council person, and it works out great. And we all happen to live in the same neighborhood.
Yeah, that's nice,
which is
too.
great too.
It's refreshing when you see elected officials with that level of camaraderie and cooperation. It's good stuff. Now, I know one of the things that Councilman is very impressed is you're a leader when it comes to energy and putting Nevada and Southern Nevada specifically at the forefront of being more energy efficient. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that? I think that's exciting. It's exciting information.
Yeah, my entire career has been in energy. That's all I've ever done, and for the last 20 years, it's been in renewable energy. And I walked past my solar trees out in front of the city hall when I came in this morning, and
we're a little proud of those around here. You know?
And I've worked on so many projects around the state, but I kind of put my career on hold because I wanted to try to help advance Nevada on a policy front, and ran for the legislature, basically to decarbonize our economy, or try my hardest to help us get there.
It seems like we're making progress. A few years ago, things like electric cars that actually could perform, solar on buildings like here at City Hall seemed like a pipe dream. But now, this is reality. See solar on people's homes now. It's exciting. So
yeah, it's and the city of Las Vegas was early and very vocal in their support of renewable energy and decarbonizing from a municipal standpoint. And Nevada is a leader across the country as far as our renewable portfolio standard goes. We're one of the only states, and it was a bill that I sponsored and we got passed and the governor signed. We're one of the only states that has the reduction of greenhouse gases in statute now, and then the governor's office and Governor Sisolak joined the U.S. Climate Alliance, which with 21 other states is the third biggest economy on the planet, and they have vowed to match the Paris Agreement on greenhouse gas emission reductions. And so we now, as of last session, have that in statute as well. And the city of Vegas and Clark County are doing wonderful things on that front as well.
Yeah, we surely are. And Councilman, we can talk about that. Back when you were on the staff here, we were making inroads in that area. We've decreased our carbon footprint here at the city as an organization dramatically. And it's exciting to see.
What I think about is he makes it sound super simple, and I don't think it is. And so as an elected official, you're brought so much information, and I can hold my own with a lot of different things at the city, but energy is an area where I really need to bone up, and so it's helpful to have people who are experts and leaders in this field to help me understand what my role is as an elected official with the city of Las Vegas. And so I can pick up the phone and call Senator and say, CPACE, for example, a bill that he probably sponsored at the state, what does that mean, and how can I be most effective at the city of Las Vegas? The state of Nevada and Las Vegas is better because we have people like Chris Brooks in positions of authority and leadership. And so I'm hopeful to learn as much as I can from the senator. And I know there's so much more the city of Las Vegas can do, Clark County can do, the state can do, and it's people like Chris that are leading the path.
Yeah, and that's exactly what my next question was going to be for the senator. So what do you see as being on the horizon for our state as far as where we can continue the leadership role when it comes to energy efficiency and renewable energy?
Well, I see that in the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and the Nevada Department of Environmental Protection are coming out with a report. That's part of the bill that we passed in Bill 254. But they did a presentation for the Interim Energy Committee just Friday, and it laid out what economic sectors are contributing to carbon greenhouse gas emissions the most. And it's transportation. And transportation is the new frontier. And so largely because of state policies like our renewable portfolio standard, but really the economics of renewable energy. Solar plus storage is the cheapest form of electricity you can buy on a wholesale market right now in the state of Nevada. And so the economics are driving those carbon emissions down. But transportation is now the biggest greenhouse gas emissions emitter in the state of Nevada and across our country. And electrifying the transportation sector, public transportation, whenever we do something like fix I-15 with Project Neon or or modernize our roads, we do a thing, and that is make it more efficient for people to drive more miles. And so while we need to do these things so that we can keep the economy humming, our miles driven per person in the state of Nevada has gone up. And so we need to invest in, at the state, at county, and city levels, invest in public transportation and smart growth. If we continue to build our homes far away from where our schools and universities and jobs are, people are going to have to drive. And so we need to invest in public transportation for those communities and have a good zoning and growth policies while we electrify first fleets and school buses and provide charging infrastructure for personal vehicles.
Yeah.
That's the goal, and that's how we'll get there.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. We've made inroads. I'm sure we'll come up with some great solutions as we move into the future. No question about it. So.
I think what I pick up from and Chris, Senator Brooks, who's very knowledgeable on the subject, what I pick up on is the opportunity around transit, and Charleston being the top corridor named by the RTC for the area for investment. Charleston because of the medical district, and so that's concentrating our growth in the medical district, allowing for more density because that is what is going to happen in Nevada, making sure that we do it in a smart and reasonable way that's respectful of those historic neighborhoods. And then that Charleston corridor, making sure that we're respectful of the environment around us is going to be one of the things that I'm ultimately aware of, and will rely on a senator to help me guide me down that path.
All right. We've talked about this all day. It's a great topic and very interesting. But Senator Brooks, we're about out of time. I want to thank you for being on the program. I want to tell everybody out there, hey, we always want to hear from you. So if there's something you'd like to share with Councilman Knudsen, you can always find him on Facebook and Twitter. And if you leave a comment, we could use your post on one of our upcoming shows. We'd love to hear from you. You can also just contact the councilman by just picking up the phone. We still use those around here, 702-229-6405. Or you can send him an email. His address is bknudsen@lasvegasnevada.gov. And he and his great staff, they'll get back to you. So, Senator Brooks, thank you so much for being on the program.
Well,
good to have
you
you here. It was a
Thank you.
great discussion. And of course, Councilman, we'll see you back in 6 weeks with another update from Ward 1.
Thank you, David.
All right. And we want to thank everyone out there for joining us for this edition of Access City Council. Don't miss our next show beginning on November 28th with Ward 3 City Councilwoman Olivia Diaz. You can catch all of our KCLV shows now on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget, you can watch us live on the internet at kclv.tv. Thanks for watching, everyone. As we close the show tonight, we have a look back at Fire Prevention Month. Councilman Knudsen was able to join others in the community at Fire Station 6 for a great open house. Enjoy. We'll see you next time around.
This is one of the most important things we can do as a community is protect our families, protect our community, protect our homes. And the Las Vegas Fire and Rescue Department are here sponsoring an event with me to make sure that our families and children are aware of what to do in the event of a fire.